Jesse Reynolds.
Good morning!
Oh, God.
Good morning, excuse me.
Hello, good morning. I'm Dahlia, and this is on Facebook Live, so you can see my next guest who walks in here is like, I don't know, I'm puffy, I'm tired, and then the camera goes on. Good morning! Hello, hey!
Well, I'm a showgirl, Dahlia. What can I tell you?
It doesn't take a lot to turn you on, does it, Jesse Reynolds?
Hi. Thanks for having me. No, I had a late night. I was at Yuck Yucks last night. I had a late show for Valentine's Day, so I was a little puffy. So I'm like, I don't know if we can go on camera.
I just feel like you got a bit New Yorky. You're like, I'm a little puffy, so I don't know if we can
A
go
little
on camera.
puffy.
No, I don't know. I'm trying.
All right.
Ottawa Breweries, so you get in touch with me, but of course, illness is getting in touch
Oh
with
my
other
gosh,
people
yeah.
too. So they're unable to show up today, but it's not just you who's working on this.
No, that's right.
Ottawa Breweries are brewing up some of the best comedy from around the world to bring to Ottawa.
It's so cool. Brewery comedy nights. This is the brainchild
Beer
of...
and comedy. Who
I
ever
could,
thought?
right. Imagine that.
Yeah.
And local breweries too, you know, it's such a big thing right now with craft breweries and people loving the sort of artisanal, is that the word?
It is when you say it.
Yeah, okay, microbreweries and stuff. So it's a great fit. It's the brainchild of Matt Santos, who's another comedian who unfortunately couldn't be here because he got hit with that flu that's going around.
When you said, the way you started that sentence, when you said, who unfortunately couldn't be here because he got hit, I think that people were starting,
No,
he's okay.
He's okay. Well, I don't know. He says he can't
Wait,
get
when
off
you
the
say that
toilet,
flu
but-
that's going around, there's a couple different types. There's
I know.
coronavirus and there's a flu.
Don't say that.
You mean the flu.
Just a regular flu.
Thank you.
Let's keep that word away, coronavirus. But I said to him, it's
Your
okay.
comedy.
Yeah, I can handle the interview by myself, Matt. It's fine. More airtime for me. But yeah, brewery comedy nights. So there's a whole bunch. It's basically an Ottawa Valley mini tour going around to different breweries. And this particular one coming up next week is starring Scott Falconbridge.
I know Scott. He's been on my show with
Yes,
me
I
before.
know.
Oh, you do know?
Well, I'm a fan. I listen. I follow you, Dahlia Kurtz. So I saw that interview. Yeah, he's a good time.
Well, so you guys are getting all of these people brewed up to join in. Now, the thing with you, sir.
Yes.
You just, for instance, last night, you put on a performance.
Yes, I did.
Why are you in comedy? Why are you in the business that is so brutal
Oh, I know.
that people have shared their stories with me as much as they go on air to be happy and they go on to entertain people? It is a tough world.
Especially in Canada. Canadian showbiz, hello.
Mm-hmm.
The short answer, Dahlia, is because I didn't get enough love in my childhood, so I like the attention. I really don't know. I think I'm an actor at heart, and my background is in theater. So I really don't even see myself as a comedian. I'm kind of an actor playing a comedian or actor playing a radio personality, which is so cheesy to say, but that's really how I see myself. But the reason I've fallen in love with stand-up is because it's kind of like a great equalizer, right? Same with music, but it sort of levels the playing field, makes everybody equal, you know, it kind of erases our differences. Something interesting happened to me the other day at Walmart. I got recognized for hosting one of the shows at Yuck Yuck. So you could imagine me, right? Made my whole day, recognized. But the interesting thing about this couple is they were kind of rough. And what I'm saying is the guy had a teardrop tattoo. And I don't know, I don't know what that means, but I've heard things. And he was just...
You're getting New Yorkie again.
Yeah. Yeah, he was a rough guy. And it was a great exchange. But when we walked away from each other, I thought, wow, isn't that neat? There's someone who would probably, you know, not mix with me or not like me. And because I made him laugh, he's a fan now. So it brings people together. And I really think that's a neat thing about comedy.
That was the most poignant, and you've come on here to talk about very poignant topics, but that was the most poignant thing that you've ever said on the show, Jesse Reynolds.
I guess I'm evolving, Dahlia. What can I tell you?
Or maybe I'm just evolving. I don't know. I'm Dahlia, this is The Goods, and this is on Facebook Live. Jesse Reynolds is here because he came on to talk about brewery comedy, but that's not all you're going to talk about when you're on The Goods, because
No.
I will have you talk about other things. I want to ask you this question to prove that this is not a sad question.
Yeah.
I'm asking Jesse Reynolds to answer it because I'm sure he can make this a happy one.
I'm nervous.
I'm being serious about this, though.
Okay.
I asked this question on Facebook because this past week we lost Christy Blatchford, and I care about this woman. She helped my career. She mentored me.
It's a beautiful post you made.
Oh, thank you. A very good person. And it made me think, because I knew who was by her side in her last moments. And it made me think, who would you want to be by your side in your last moments?
Oh, wow. That's a dark question.
But even though it's dark, it says a lot about,
Yeah.
it's not thinking about the end of days. It's really thinking about the people who mean so much to you.
Yeah. Does it have to be someone I know, or can I choose like Britney
You can
Spears?
choose me.
Yeah.
Just don't choose Chris Evans because he's mine.
He's reserved.
Hands off,
He's
and
reserved.
I will cut you.
Well, when you first asked the question, instantly my family pops into my head, right? I see my mom's face, so I think that's an easy answer, and one that if I was, taking my last breaths, I definitely think it would be my family. I have a very close family, so we support each other. I've got 4 brothers and sisters, so I'd have them all around. Well, maybe not all of them.
Well, I asked my dad this question, and my dad says to me, well, I wouldn't want any of you by my side. Because, he says, it's hard on you. It's hard on you,
Yeah.
right? He doesn't want you to go through that.
Aww.
And my dad had been through a quadruple bypass, and when he
Yeah.
was going through his quadruple bypass afterwards, there were complications, and they had to put him on life support. And I remember taking a picture of him, and the nurse comes in, and she starts yelling at me. And she says, you're not allowed to do that. Do not take a picture. That's not allowed. So I said, okay, I'll delete it. Right, sure.
Yeah, okay.
So I don't delete it. So I say to my dad, Dad, I've already seen you that way. I've already seen you dead. It's no big deal. I have a picture of it. And this is how my family deals with things, with humor, with comedy. And you're able to have more conversations. And as somebody who's a comic, and you go on stage and you can talk about things that are so dark, but you can bring light to them. I mean, Ricky Gervais is a master at that. A master.
He really is. I have a podcast. It's called Jesse and Jenna's Messy Podcast. And my co-host always says I have something called the gay cloak of armor. Because I can say things that are otherwise offensive or maybe, taboo. You can't go there. But because I have the gay cloak of armor, everyone just laughs and nobody gets mad at me for it.
I have that, but in a different way.
It's your hair.
It's called dimples and being short.
The hair helps too. It's very cute.
Thank you. I'm Dahlia. Jesse is here right now. We're talking about all things comedy in Ottawa. I mean, the Ottawa comedy scene.
Oh, wow.
Because just the fact that we're having these breweries that are bringing together these comedians right now. How have you seen I've seen, just being here the past 18 months, I've seen this comedy scene really develop.
Oh, it's huge. It's something about Ottawa. It's like, you think show business, Ottawa's the last place you think. But there is something about the stand-up scene here. So many big stand-up stars have come out of Ottawa. And a lot of them actually come back to the Ottawa Club to record their albums. There's just something magic about the Ottawa comedy scene. And there's so much up-and-coming talent. So that's why nights like the Brewery Comedy Tour, and there's a lot of little pop-up shows every week in the city. It's full of talent. You don't have to go to one of the big clubs to see great stand-up.
What was the first time you went up and you performed?
Oh my God, it was terrifying.
Then I want to hear all about it.
It was, the very first time was actually kind of a disaster. It always is. But it was at a club that's no longer around called Zaphod's. I don't know if you remember Zaphod's.
I've only been here 18 months.
But it was a nightclub, and they did comedy nights. And so it was right before Halloween. It was storming, raining. Nobody was in the audience. There was like 3 people, my sister and her boyfriend. But it was so stressful because you know how high energy I am. So I do better when there's big crowds. When it's a small, intimate
So do you really
little
well
crowd,
right now with the 3 of us in this room?
It's that energy thing you get from the live audience. So the first time I ever did it was like 4 people in the audience. It was really just embarrassing. But, you have to get the first one out of the way, and then...
So then what was the second one like?
Well, that was at Yuck Yucks, and that's when I first ever signed up to do an open mic night. And whenever anybody starts comedy, they invite all their friends out, their families. So I had the house packed with like all my friends, coworkers.
So we're talking about all the people that you would want by your side.
I guess
See,
so.
we're getting back to the original
Well, not
question.
the coworkers; they can stay away. High tech, yeah. But they came out to support, and it's fun. And then after that, all your friends and family have seen your act, so then you can't get anybody out, and that's the hard part. Because then the club's like, promote this, bring people, and you're like, they've all seen me.
So what was the first time you killed?
Oh, the first time I went up. What are you saying?
Of course.
You know what the funny thing about it is that sometimes you can have the exact same act and kill one night, and the next night you don't do so well. And that's sort of the magic of trying to figure out what works and what doesn't. They say you can never blame the audience, but sometimes you can blame the audience.
You know what? I found Ottawa is different. I will say this, because when I would MC events in other cities, and I've MC'd events in Toronto, in New York, Miami, and there are certain go-tos. You know your certain go-tos of jokes, right? You have them.
Course.
Everybody has them, and you know you're going to get laughs for saying a certain line. And so I go up the first time, and I'm seeing here in Ottawa, and I do my, my big go-to that guaranteed. And I look in front of me.
Crickets.
Stone-faced crowd. And I'm thinking throughout the whole time I'm on stage, because everybody's so stone-faced and reserved and quiet, I'm thinking, I don't know what I'm doing tonight that's wrong, but something is really off. And then after the show, after the event, somebody comes up to me and says, Dahlia, that was hilarious. Hilarious. And then another person came and said that to me, and I was thinking, so in Ottawa, hilarious is stone-faced.
So political.
It's a different type of crowd. It's a different, so if you're making people actually laugh audibly,
good for you.
You're doing an incredible job.
I love that you said that, because I'm one of those people too. And you think about when you watch a funny show on TV or something, you don't sit on your couch and laugh, but you're thoroughly enjoying it.
If I'm alone, I will not laugh. If I am with a person,
yeah,
I will 100% laugh. I can't laugh by myself.
It's weird.
I laugh at myself.
But you still enjoy it. You still think it's funny.
Absolutely.
You know, so that happens with stand-up too. And last night, Valentine's Day, there was an early show and a late show. And you could definitely tell the difference between how many bottles of wine the first show had versus the second show. Because they were a lot rowdier, which is great for stand-up. But the first crowd was like you just described, smiley and, enjoying it, but not really screaming and laughing.
Here's another question for you as a performer, because I've talked to a lot of comedians about this, and women have a very different take on this than men. A lot of men go up on stage and they perform in hoodies or whatever they are, just they want to be comfortable. Women tell me they wear whatever will not draw attention to them. They try to wear usually basic clothing when they go up on stage. You're Jessie Reynolds. Hey. What do you wear when you perform? Does it matter? Do you have
It does.
Yes.
I've recently discovered this. So when I first started, I would try to dress because I want to be Ryan Seacrest, so I'd wear the blazer.
Wait,
what?
This whole time I thought that I was sitting across from Ryan Seacrest, and I was just calling you Jessie Reynolds.
He could share some of his jobs. But
there's money.
Yeah, and the money. But yeah, so I would try to dress very smart and snazzy the way you would if you were going on TV. And then a couple times, years later, I sort of got lazy and was like, I'm just going to go up in the hoodie, like you said. And I found I did better. And ever since, I kind of wear just a sweater or just a t-shirt and jeans. And I think there's something to say for dressing more casually. It makes people, more, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? It makes them more comfortable. You're not as intimidating as when you're up there in a suit. So I really have noticed that difference. And the other thing I've noticed about clothing is the color red. And Howard Wagman from Yuck Yucks thinks I'm crazy. He's the owner. I'm like, I gotta wear red. I can't find my red shirt. He's like, what's wrong with you?
You're wearing red under your shirt.
I'm telling you.
I'm looking at this right now.
There is something about the color red that makes me do well. I don't know if it's in my head or what.
Because you turned into a bullseye and people just look at you. And I think, Jessie Reynolds, I have a feeling, guy who walked in here this morning I'm so tired, I'm puffy. Then Hannah, my producer, turns the camera on. He's like, good morning! Right into I think, correct me if I'm wrong, you like people watching you.
Well, I'm a professional. When it's time to go,
we
go.
How about this? Because when I finish in, I love performing to crowds, and I enjoy it so much. I enjoy being on stage. I enjoy being on radio. I will walk through Rideau Centre with my hood up for 30 minutes if I have to, because I don't want to engage with people.
Yeah.
Because once I'm not on, it's not anything against people. I'm very introverted and I want to keep to myself. Are you anything like that, or you're just always Jessie?
Well, I love being recognized. So if you see me at the mall, come up and say hi.
Jessie wears a name tag, and I wear my hood.
But there are times, of course, when you give your all on a show or something, and you need to have that downtime. You have to pull it in to be able to give it out again. So you need those regroup times for sure. But I'd never get mad. I would never put my hood up in the mall.
So if you see somebody walking around in the mall in a hood, now you know to come up to me. Yeah. And if you see Jessie in the mall, just please go up to him.
You reminded me of a funny story. I honked my horn at you one time on, or maybe I already told you this, I don't know.
No, you didn't, but this happens to me regularly.
But she wouldn't acknowledge. And you're with Fozzie Bear.
Oh, who else would I be with?
But of course. And I'm honking. And I'm like, oh my God, she's going to think I'm a creep. But she was like, eyes straight ahead, do not look at the honk. And I'm like, Dahlia. She would not turn. So I believe you.
But look, I don't automatically assume when somebody is honking that they're honking for me. But at this point, after experiencing the honks that I've experienced here, I have to assume that they're honking to me, and I have to not engage.
Yeah, it's true.
I'm sorry.
You never know. Well, exactly. You never know who it could be, and then you're stuck. So you're smart, actually.
And that has, in fact, you're giving away all of the secrets.
I know.
I don't want people to know about Jesse Reynolds. If people want to get involved with brewery comedy, go out, have fun, meet some of these international comics who are coming in, what do they need to know, sir?
So, best way is to look it up on Facebook. It's called Brewery Comedy Nights. The logo is purple, so search Brewery Comedy Nights, look for the purple picture. And the most important thing is when you're buying tickets through Eventbrite or whatever the link is, like I said, go to the Facebook page. But the important thing
You
is...
sound like my dad now. Just
go to the Facebook. You'll find it. Brewery Comedy Nights, but use the promo code FUNNY5. If you use the promo code FUNNY5, you'll save $5 on any of the tickets.
And there you have it. And make sure that when Jesse's up on stage, whether or not he's wearing red, you're looking at him.
Now I have to wear red, don't I?
Well, you will wear red.
Yeah, I will wear
You
red.
will wear red. Thank you so much for taking your time to join us today, sir.
Always, anytime.
And York Street is closed down, so you had to park on the side.
Yeah, what's going on there?
It's the bed race from our Kiwanis Club.
Oh, cool.
They have a chair of the race. And I said, why do you have a chair of the race? Why don't you have a bed of the race? I don't understand it. Makes no sense.
We don't ask questions.
See? I'm Dahlia. This is The Goods. We're going to wrap up next. Jesse Reynolds, thanks for joining us.
Bye. Thank you.